Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming this evening. I'd like to start the Bloomington Historic Preservation Commission meeting for August 10th, 2023. Thank you, Chris. And grab a chair. Are these open?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
That's for you.
You know, you'll be right in my line of calling. All right. All right. Good to see you guys. Mark, good to see y'all.
In person, anyway.
Yeah. All right, Gloria. Let's get going.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. And just before we begin, Ernesto, was everybody here when you? Anyways, we have two new commissioners.
Semi-new.
Ernesto's semi-new, but he's rejoining us now as a voting member, and Karen Duffy is joining us as a advisory member. So.
Very good.
I'm supposed to send your accents.
All right.
Welcome, Karen. All right, so maybe you can sit over there.
You probably.
Over there, over there.
It's okay, wherever you feel more comfortable.
This is my final move.
We can share this.
Hey, very good.
And Bernard Cross couldn't make it due to personal reasons.
I'm sorry, but he's back from his trip. It's fine. Very good. Helps fill us in on it.
Quorum more than it looks like.
Yeah, we got a quorum. We're good to go tonight. All right, Gloria. We need a motion to approve our minutes.
We need a roll call.
Oh, we need the roll call. Sorry. Dee, are you there?
Yep.
All right.
Marlene Newman. Ernesto Castaneda.
Here.
Daniel Schlegel. Sam DeSaller.
Here.
Matthew Seddon.
Here.
John Saunders.
Here.
Elizabeth Mitchell.
Here.
Allison Chopra. Bernard Cross. Duncan Campbell. Kirsten Hawley. Karen Duffy. Here. Chris Thurbaum.
Here.
Daniel Schlegel just came in.
Got it.
All right. Thank you. Now let's move on to approval of our minutes from the July 13th meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from the July 13th meeting.
Thank you. Great. All right, Dee, let's do the roll call.
Ernesto Castaneda.
Here. No, it's a yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Daniel Schlegel.
Yes.
Sam DeSaller.
Yes.
John Saunders.
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Dee. All right. Let's move on to the COA staff review. We kept Gloria busy for the last couple of weeks, so she'll let us in on her.
So the following is going to be a pretty quick overview unless anybody wants to go into more detail, as there are a substantial amount of staff reviews this time around. So the first two staff reviews are for 917 North Fairview Street. Joseph Weddle had originally brought a pond and a parking space, and that was being going to be reviewed by the full HPC due to the location of the pond. He originally wanted to locate the pond in the front of the building, but he retracted the pond component and just kept the parking space. So staff approved the extended parking space. Let me just shrink this, sorry. I don't think we need. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So staff approved the parking space. However, that is after having approved it, planning staff. I will be working with planning staff, and it's probably going to return to us with some tweaks. And the pond is going to be returning in a different format on the back of the building, on the back of the property. And just a little bit more context of the location of the parking and the pond. This is on the alley in the back of the property, or the view from the alley towards the back of the property. The second project were some changes to the ADU, including lowering the height of the addition. So here you can see changes in the location of the garage, elimination. So the original facade is on top and the proposed facade is on the bottom. The elimination of a door and on the bottom floor and extension of the garage. And some slight changes in material, but the form and consistency of the building doesn't really change. The height does go down a little bit for this ADU, which is what we would consider like a plus in terms of making it, minimizing the impact just ever so slightly on the landscape. Eric Sandwise applied for a new garage door for 1,133 South Ballantyne Road, the Nathan Silverman House, for COA 2350. I'm gonna have to move this because, sorry. And I'm having the same problem on my computer. Okay. Yeah, so the door to be replaced was not original and was in a bad state, and the new garage door matches the typical style of ranch. Eric Sandwise, being a history professor, went ahead and looked for precedents in publications from the 50s in order to find the more appropriate door for the garage, and so that one was approved as well. And then COA 2355 and COA 2357 are for 909 East University Street. The petitioner requested two things. The first, so this one, 55, was a removal of a black walnut tree on the alleyway between her and her neighbor's house. And her neighbor is Jenny Southern, who is here present with us. The petitioner had applied for this tree removal earlier in the year. It had been denied. She had also applied for city permit, as a tree is in city property, not in her yard. That was denied as well. She appealed because the tree was so close to the garage, was causing problems with the foundation, and she couldn't get insurance for the roof. And the city arborist gave her the permit, and then we also gave her the COA for the removal. It is a mature black walnut tree. It's not the type of tree we would try not to remove this tree if possible. So that said, it's also very close to the garage. So there was a lot of back and forth with this one. But the COA was approved in the end. The other COA was for the building of a fence replacement. The owner originally thought that she was replacing in kind. However, there were some changes to the design and to the location of the fence. The fence complies. It's in the back of the building, towards the back of the lot. The only change that staff gave was that it had to match the lot line and couldn't extend beyond that. As when the petitioner purchased the house, this fence was already there. It had been installed by the previous owner, and the original fence extended into public property. And here is an image of the fence as it was and how it's coming up. So there's not a substantial difference, but it is not exactly the same design either. This was approved with the consideration that it be moved inward. And then I have two more. COA 2360, and this one I can ask, and I think this is also a question for Elm Heights, and we do have an Elm Heights representative here. The petitioner requested a temporary, like an air conditioning window unit for not the front window, but the side window, very visible from the street on the second floor. This was during the height of the heat wave. It was over 85 degrees in her 10-month-old baby's room. She wants to weatherize the building much better and make sure that it's insulated in the future, but didn't have the budget for that. So I went ahead and gave her a staff COA for a window unit that only for the summer months and valid for 2 years while she installs some other form of air conditioning unit. So this could be a good conversation of what happens with the different weather changes and events that we are experiencing and that are becoming more extreme. So that could be a good conversation for the future. And the other one is like about these removable units that do impact the aesthetic of the buildings, but do not cause long-lasting damage. So, and this is the location of the window. It's not on the front facade, but it is visible from the street. And then finally, COA 23-59 for 722 West 8th Street. The petitioner requested a roof change to standing seam roof. The petitioner had originally applied and then retracted her application, but had originally applied for a ended up being corrugated. She thought it was standing seam, it was actually corrugated, and it required a change in the roof pitch. So she was going to come to the full HPC. However, it ended, corrugated roofs are not allowed by city code, period. They're just not allowed. So she came back with a change for, and this is in the near west side, for standing seam, which is in compliance with the guidelines for that specific historic district. And the neighborhood did provide comments beforehand. And here, that's the plan, and
All right.
that's it.
Thank you so much, Gloria, for that presentation. All right, let's move on to commission review. We'll do COA 23-51, 744 South Morton Street. We have the petitioner with us.
So this is a project that we've never seen before for someone we've never met. I'm just kidding. This is a renewal. I am so sorry. This is on the permanent record. So actually, this is a renewal for a 2-year COA, which expires this month or just expired. It's on the.
I think it's like the 8th or the 15th. It's within a week of like right now.
Yes. So this is a renewal as COA's last 2 years for the construction of a new building. And by our very own Sam DeSoler, who is here and can talk a little bit more about this. The project was approved in 2021 and has the support of the neighbors and the neighborhood association. So the guidelines are based on, I was looking at the McDowell Historic District guidelines. They are based on residential structures. This is not a residential structure, but it is very much in a residential space. And although the design and the geometry of the individual components of this building break from the neighborhood patterning, all of the materials, roof slope, scale, and building location do fall within the parameters of the guidelines. We had already approved this. There are some changes which we'll go over, but they're not, staff doesn't consider them substantial changes to what had been approved earlier. It doesn't change the outline, the massing, or the scale of the structure. So staff does recommend approval of COA 23-51, and now I will show you, go over it a little bit more. This was the letter we received. We approved you 2 years ago, so you are approved as of now 2 years later. Elizabeth Fox Ash of the McDowell Gardens Neighborhood Association. So what has not changed? The overall building square footage, its height, cladding material, roofing materials, position of the building on site, and building setbacks. What has changed? Additional landscape on the north side of the building required by planning for a buffer yard, handicapped accessible entrance ramp and walk on the east side of the site, modification to the walk to south of building to allow for drainage, storm drainage infrastructure on the southwest side of the property, additional of 2 4-inch diameter steel columns under the entry canopy on the east facade, addition of cross bracing on the east and north clerestory windows, deletion of stairs from the east facade porch to accommodate sidewalk and stair, modification of the north side site fencing height to address grade changes, an addition of an access gate, additional site landscaping, light fixtures, so these are all relatively small things that really aren't, they're really barely, if any, even addressed in the McDowell guidelines. But the petitioner is being very thorough. So this is the site plan. And here are some renderings of the building. So you can see it with the neighboring building. Very recently, we had the neighboring structures addition had been brought to us. So the rendering on the top actually has the new addition, the approved addition.
All of them do.
Yeah, but it's very
Yeah.
clear on the top when you can see that the rendering of the addition and then how that would play with the proposed building on 744. And here are the detailed elevations. So you can see the roof slopes and the materials. And with that, I will leave it to the HPC.
All right. Sam, any additional comments for us?
I guess the only thing I'd like to say is it's been a bit of a long haul, and the only changes that I've made were 90% of them were for planning requirements. This has now 2 variances, and we've been through a lot of hearings over planning. They've been very helpful, but it's been a time-consuming process. And they tell me they only need one more thing, which my engineers are working on, so I have hope that we will not have to come back before you yet again. But the only other change that was made are the addition of those 2 skinny little columns on the front facade. My engineer couldn't quite make it. It was going to be hung, that canopy over the front entry was going to be hung from the building, but she couldn't quite make it happen. And I put those little X wires at the top, and those go along the north side clerestory as well, sort of stabilize the roof truss structure. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer anything you've got.
All right, thanks, Sam. Ernesto, have you got questions?
No questions.
Elizabeth?
No
Matthew?
questions.
Daniel? Karen? Do you have?
I just have a little comment. This is new to me, of course, just as I'm new to the commission. And my concern is that the house next door is one of the oldest houses in Bloomington. There's Confederate money found in somewhere, and I'm sure you know all of that. And it makes me sad. This is a lovely design. Perhaps I'd rather see it in a different location than as a neighbor.
I hear that. The neighborhood is very supportive of this project.
I know.
And this is a conservation district that was elevated to an historic district. So it's a neighborhood that does have some beautiful historic houses. And I'm not an historicist. I do respect historic buildings. And I think the main thing that holds a neighborhood together has to do with the placement of buildings on site, the scale of the buildings, and their relationship with each other. And I also think that, I talked extensively with the owner of this house, who really likes the design, and you can tell from what she's doing to her house that she is also a person who does not let things stay the way they are if she wants things to move forward. It's I think that the design on the house next door, I didn't do that, but I think it's a very interesting design. And it's a modern design, and it really differentiates itself from the existing house. So the main thing that I tried to do when I did my building next door, which is it's not a residential building, it's a building for artist studios, is keep the scale of it similar to the house next door. So the roof line, comes down to meet the house next to it. I've tried to maintain the same language, so the front facades are basically aligned. It's got a porch structure on it, so the language is similar. The cladding, not similar. it's a very modern building. It's unapologetically a modern building. And I think that modern buildings, I know some of my commissioners do not agree with me on this, and I think you're one of them, and there are others. But I think modern buildings can live harmoniously side by side with historic buildings in the same neighborhood, even within historic districts. I do think you have to pay a lot of attention to your very local context and try to be sensitive to both the needs and wants of the neighborhood and the scale and size of the existing context.
The part that goes up, that's higher though. The lower part is even with the house next door? Was I reading that right
The
and hearing you right?
the house next door is on a hill, and mine is sort of
Oh, yeah.
on the it's about on the same level. So the roof on the low, so the roof slopes in two directions. It slopes from the north to the south. It also slopes from the east to the west. So at the back of the site, the building is not a 2-story building anymore. It's basically a 1.5-story building. So it is the lower portion of the roof is not higher at any point than the highest portion of the roof next door. And at the lowest point, it's about halfway up the building. And then the high point, at the high point of my roof is, it's higher
It's
than.
higher.
So, it is higher in some places.
So,
No, okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Sam. Chris?
Yeah, I've been a skeptic and maybe I'll learn something. I'll watch it get developed and we'll see what happens.
I like this project. Oh, this is comments. I don't have any questions for you,
Okay.
Sam.
I think for
Yes, sir.
comments, Sam is
Do you
going to
want
have
me
to.
to decamp?
I'm sorry?
Are there, unless there's questions from the public, right?
Yes.
So typically do questions and then a round of
Right,
comment.
exactly.
Does he leave before the comments or after the comments?
You want, well, perhaps we should talk about this some more. I don't know that he needs to exit the room.
It's
but he
been
certainly-
traditional that people do go away. I don't care. If you want me to go away, I'll go away. If you want me to stay here, I'll stay.
I just-
Certainly can't vote, but you are welcome to leave the room if you believe that that is the appropriate thing to do.
But he's not formally kicked out.
No.
Okay, well, now we know. That's why I wanted to ask.
But I would ask, if any of my fellow commissioners would prefer me to go, I will happily step outside.
No, I'll say it to your face.
And I started commenting already.
so did I. I'm sorry.
No, we.
Oh, you're good.
Forgot about the
Threw out the first comment.
You're good.
Let's get the comments out of the way, and we'll go to voting.
No comments.
No comments?
No comment.
No comments, Elizabeth?
I don't see
Matthew?
anything that is substantially changed to change what was approved before.
Okay. And Daniel?
I just echo Matt's
All right. And, well, Chris?
Already made our comments.
Comment. And Karen, you have any comments? Okay. My only comment is that I really like this project. I think it's gonna be fabulous. And something that's eventually need in our community is studio space. So I will approve this project. All right.
Do we get comments from the public?
Yeah, well, yes, we do.
Questions, comments, or-
So we have our general audience this evening. Do we have any comments from them?
And likewise,
Laura?
if anybody from
Jen?
online has any questions or comments, you feel free to use the raise hand feature. Give me 1 second.
All right. Okay, hearing no comments, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Great. And so Dee, will you do the roll call?
Ernesto Castaneda,
Yes.
Daniel Slagle,
Yes.
Matthew Sutton,
Yes.
Dennis.
John Saunders,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. All right, so let's move on to COA 23-52, 329 South Maple Street. And the petitioners, I believe, are with us, Dennis and Mark. Good to see you both. Thank you for coming. Okay, Gloria?
So for COA 23-52,
Oh, may I announce that I am a contractor for this project? So kick me out if you want to, but I'll stick around and fill in as needed.
Thank you, Chris.
thank you. So, the COA 23-52 is, the petitioners are requesting the partial demolition, new addition to an existing building, and extensive alterations to the facade and yard for 329 South Maple Street. So staff comments, the house was drastically altered soon after its construction, according to both SHAR documents and Sanborn maps from 1907 and 1913. It is speculated that the house was converted from a central passage to an L plan, and I think that the architects can attest a bit more to some of those changes. The proposed siding to be used on all of the building is compatible with the historic district guidelines, so they're planning on changing the siding on the existing siding. The partial demolition on the back of the house does not visually impact the front of the building. The addition is compatible with the principles of new construction, including scale, placement, and fenestrations, amongst others. The most impacting change to the front facade would be the front porch, which is designed to emulate the more typical cottage porches on the area. However, the materials and proportions would reflect a more contemporary design. And on the note of the porch, I had multiple comments. I think, let me see, I think we do have Richard Lewis online, so I'm just gonna, in case he wants to speak for himself, but yeah, Richard Lewis did state this is an interesting project, in that the entire proposed house is not on the public way facade. Wait, no, I think these are not the comments he sent me for this one, sorry, I mixed them up. Richard Lewis did have concerns about if I recall correctly, about the front porch, and he raised his hand, so I'm just gonna, is it okay if I just let him
Absolutely, yes.
speak at this moment? Okay, Richard, if you can unmute I think you can unmute yourself now.
Oh, okay, great. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I mixed up the order of the comments. I apologize.
Oh, no problem. Thank you all. Thanks as always for your attention to these issues. And yes, my name is Richard Lewis. I live in the Prospect Hill neighborhood, and I serve on the Greater Prospect Hill Historic District Local Design Review Committee. And I did submit comments about this piece. Let's see. I'll just read from what I sent to Gloria. I support a lot of the proposed work on this, including the siding changes. Changes along the alleyway facade are not technically under our purview because we only review the public way facade, and in the Greater Prospect Hill guidelines, alleys do not count. My one question or concern about the areas in back would be percentage of new footprint to the lot size, but that's a zoning and planning issue and not a historic issue. And then my main objection, or what would actually be a proposed change, is for the new roof to the front porch, because that is part of the public way facade. And I find it strange that, I like the idea of installing a porch roof because that would be in character with a house, but the fact that the porch roof is disconnected from the main roof is atypical of this style, and the flatness of the roof seems to throw it off style, and the fact that the porch roof is projecting well into that front bay, the left-hand window of the front bay, also seems atypical of the style. Mark Cornett, I believe, did a great design at 512 West Howell Street, which was a new build. The footprint and the design looked very much in keeping with this period of a Victorian cottage with that front projecting bay. And that roof line connects with the two main roofs, and to me is a more congruous look than what is proposed here. And I did provide photos to Gloria. Don't know if those are available, but I would encourage the designer and the property owner to just re-examine the proportions and the connections of that proposed porch roof so that it's more in keeping with the style. So again, the streetscape is the primary area that we in Greater Prospect Hill Historic District are interested in preserving and maintaining a look that harkens back to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. All right, Gloria.
And we did have a second comment from John Vitello, another of the subcommittee members. I love that this home is getting some attention. I like the design. I understand that Richard would like more discussion about the front porch roof, which you will have the opportunity to do in a second. The current proposed design looks good to me. My house is 217 South Maple, has this flat roof style. When I purchased it for that reason, I do not believe this is to be out of character for the neighborhood. As to the flat roof style, it will be more cost effective to build it. It's way easier to build a flat roof under the gabled L section than to construct and tie a rafter system from above. And that being said, let's look at the project a little bit more. So let me see. So complete exterior renovation of the existing building with replacement of exterior doors and windows, exterior siding and trim, roofing, downspouts, gutters, fascia, soffits, etc., and the construction of a new covered entry porch off of Maple Street side of the residence. So for the exterior siding, James Hardy fiber cement lap siding, 6-inch exposure, Boral True exterior trim for the trim, exterior column and beam trim, Boral True exterior trim. So the doors, the windows, and we can have questions about that later. So the foundation split face concrete masonry unit, and roofing Owens Corning fiberglass roofing shingles. So I wanted to put a photo of how the building, this is the front of the building now. It's kind of like in gabled L, but it doesn't look exactly like the rest of the gabled L's in the neighborhood. And here are two Sanborn maps.
Okay.
And here is the plan, the existing plan, I believe, and the petitioners can correct me, but the dotted lines here is what's to be demolished, and then what is in gray would be the addition. That is the alleyway, and so in the front you already have this front porch that is gonna be worked on. And here are renderings of how it would look. So that is the front porch with the lowered roof and its system, and with the expansion towards the back. So there are multiple moving pieces in this project that need to be taken into consideration. So the staff supports this project and recommends approval of COA 23-52. However, with that, I leave it to the HPC. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gloria. Mark and Dennis, do you have additional information for us you'd like to share?
You saw it.
Okay, perfect. All right.
I do have a little bit,
No, we're good.
Could I make a
Don't worry.
as a staff.
Let me get to comments. Right now, I'm under the questions, and we'll get to comments here in a moment. So, Sam, questions?
Excuse me, at my role as being involved in the design of this as well, there are a couple items that really the commissioners should know before they comment.
All right, Chris?
One is, I believe we're gonna use 4-inch lap, that's the standard of the neighborhood. And the owner wants a more Victorian-looking porch, and I wanted to get approval for flexibility on the porch design. I built 2 or 3 of these porches within a couple of blocks of this house.
Okay.
And that's the pattern. And we're also gonna see evidence when we pull the siding off of what was that porch.
So Chris is the contractor for this project. Thank you, Chris.
I'm sorry, but I thought it was needed to be said.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Sam, questions?
Gloria, could you go to the sort of rendering portion of it? Yeah, the front porches are especially good. So, Chris, you're saying and when you say the porch, you're talking about this guy on the left here, right?
Mhm.
So, would you talk a little bit about what you want it to be if it's going to be more Victorian.
Yeah, I thought we were going to have a drawing of the alternate plan. They would be turned columns. There would be 4. There would be spindles in the railing. And there would be porch brackets. We could do the long divide with the little small spindles between the posts, or we might do the simple single brackets off of the posts. And that would echo many of the houses in the neighborhood. There's 2 houses down that has the original front porch, and it's basically as I'm describing it. We might even be low enough to not have a railing, but we would definitely have the Victorian details.
Gotcha.
Chris, some of those
And
houses.
does this porch,
Where do I pull them up?
Maybe
If there's a-
329 South Maple.
Yeah, could you look at one up there?
Or it says 329.
Just,
329, I do have a picture of that.
Do you want
Oh,
to see more?
329 South Maple, sure.
Somehow,
I don't know if you can.
we could do
Probably
that.
show.
I might,
You're not ready to speak.
I'm not gonna speak, so.
You probably can't get this off the phone, but yeah, if you go down the block to this way, a couple of houses.
To the right?
Mm-hmm.
can you email it?
Can I email it to you?
yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
This purple house.
Yes.
So that's the original porch. I don't know if you can get any closer. And that was kind of standard in the neighborhood. And there's also a house on the corner. If you go farther down the street and look to the right at the corner of Howe and Maple, there's a porch we did. Yeah, across from the blue house there. To the right now.
You did that porch?
Uh-huh.
I did the back. And then they put a horrible fence up.
Cool, yes. They got in trouble for that.
They got in trouble for that.
So those are turned columns as well.
Oh, okay.
I tried to get them to do the stars and the brackets on the back too.
Yeah.
Okay, question still. And would you go back to the renderings? It looks like you're maintaining the concrete base that the existing porch
That's
is
the
on, just
plan,
ripping
uh-huh.
off the metal stuff.
Right.
Okay, but yeah, it does look super low. So you're leaving that ramp for accessibility? Gotcha.
It isn't there. We can put it there.
It did look like there was a concrete ramp in the existing photographs.
Oh, you could be, oh, sorry, you're right.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all I got for now. Oh, and one other question. Aside from the 2 comments we've heard already, is there anything, there's no neighborhood design review in Greater Prospect Hill? Is
We
there?
just read you.
That was that one, okay.
Yeah,
My bad.
yeah.
Thanks, sorry.
John Vitello and Richard Lewis. Yes,
Gotcha.
yes,
That-
yes.
So aside from those 2, that's what we got. That's
Yeah.
what I was getting at, okay.
So the owner would like flexibility on that porch design. If the approval happens, we'd rather not be locked in, or he would be happier with the Victorian style porch.
Okay, hear that.
Possibility would be for a condition to just bring back that one design
That portion
revision.
for staff review or for,
You determine.
yeah.
Their Victorian design. He's emailing it to you. And
Oh,
I'll send it to you and put it up on screen if you want.
oh, sure, they have my logo. Give me 1 second, sorry.
So, Ernesto, questions?
Yes. Chris, how do you plan to address the roof slope for water?
Well, the traditional ones are flat, and we recreate a built-in gutter. And that might be the way that we would approach that. Just for ease of redesign, I used the same form and added the details. But I think the idea of coming back in for a review of that porch would be a good way to address this, so we can get the details right.
Right. So the gutter will be incorporated as part of all this detailing?
The what would be?
The gutter, capturing the water? Or?
If we do a built-in gutter, then we would just do a rubber dam, like the fascia's
I
here.
see.
The gutter's behind that fascia, so it's an invisible gutter.
Right. It's part
Essentially.
of all the molding, yeah.
Yeah, there'd be fascia molding. I think the one down the street, no, I believe it has a gutter because it's been converted.
Yeah,
but
it's got a gutter.
A lot of those built-in gutters rotted and then people fixed them.
Okay, that's all.
Most of them rotted.
That's the one that was.
Mhm. Mhm.
We're curious?
Yes, that's
Oh,
it, sorry.
Very good. That's all right. Elizabeth? Matthew?
So Chris, then
Mhm.
you guys have a potential different design that you'd like to use that has more of the Victorian detailing?
Mhm.
Gotcha. And we don't have a rendering of it?
I think
I'm
gonna get
trying to
it.
get it, it's just not here yet.
It got
Did you
emailed
just
to
get it?
him.
Okay.
Yeah,
It might be
it'd be
able
good
to
to
on the
see that.
screen.
Yeah, so as soon as I get it, we'll get it over there. Thanks,
Okay,
Matthew.
good, yeah. Instead of playing Renard here and
I
saying,
think
we
the
need
mo-
to see what we're approving.
You're right. I think the model down the street is under the roof edge like that, but is flat, not sloped.
Gotcha. I'd still kind of like to see the whole thing.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
responsible.
Absolutely.
That's it, that's all I had for them, I'm just trying
Okay.
to clarify that.
Thank you. Daniel, any questions?
Mine have already been asked, so I'm good.
All right. Karen,
No question.
no questions? Well, you can't answer, you can't ask questions.
Ask myself questions.
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
Why am I here?
In my head.
What's the meaning of all this?
I don't have any questions for you right now, Chris. I think it's a good project for that neighborhood. So I haven't gotten the addition yet. Why don't we do comments for the time being? Just keep things moving around. When that comes in, we'll get it on the
Okay.
screen for us, okay? Is that okay? Any comments from our
Would you like to speak?
audience?
I'm having trouble sending you this picture of the, I think it's already been addressed, that we're looking at a more Victorian
I wish there was
porch
a-
design, which I have here, and I'm trying to get it to you guys. so
Put it in front of the
bear
owl?
with me.
Do you have Gloria's email address on your phone?
No.
Okay. All right, well, we'll move on. So let's go on to comments.
Comments. I think the design really works with the neighborhood. I think, it doesn't, the addition on the back doesn't, I like the accretional nature of this house. It's kind of a crazy add-on house that has evolved through time. I was a little suspicious of the dropped roof, but, I think the alternative of doing a roof that's more integrated with the upper slope of the roof, in part because of that chamfered front bay, it would be kind of a mess. Well, it would be a little bit messy. So I think this solution is actually a little bit cleaner than sort of trying to integrate it in. And I would look forward to seeing the more Victorian porch, because I think that would really help the flavor of the front facade, which is what the neighborhood is most interested in.
All right, thank you, Sam. Ernesto?
Yes, I do like this project. I think the addition to the back of the house is the classical sort of a telescopic grow of the house as that you see in farmhouses in some cases. As they grow, it gets smaller and smaller.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you see that a lot in farmhouses. I love that. So So the definition of having a Victorian porch, I like that idea because it's sort of this very delicate, skinny little columns that you see in Prospect Hill. I think that would be very appropriate for this. In general, I think it's a great project. That's it.
Thank you, Ernest. Elizabeth?
I like it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Matthew, comments?
Yeah, I do, this particular iteration does feel a little bit out of character, and some of the detailing feels a little more craftsman-y to me than the others, although looking at the awnings that were on it, they also have those kind of exposed beams coming out the front. I guess what's perturbing me a little bit is having the porch run under the eave of the bay there, the bay window on the right. Feels to me like it might be disturbing that sense of it being a crosswing cottage. It like kind of eliminates a little bit of the feel of that sort of front push out. I have to admit, I'll just admit my ignorance, I don't know if that was a common thing to go ahead and put a porch all the way up to that other window of the bay. And so I guess I would like to see the more Victorian one, because this doesn't quite feel as like a good fit with sort of the Victorian crosswing feel. So that's where I am. I don't mind being educated though, if it wasn't all that uncommon to stick it. Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
I don't know if you noticed, but it's a door on that side.
Oh!
Two doors there.
Never mind, I retract that comment. Let's move on. Nothing happened here.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Daniel?
I was good with this, but I'm excited about the Victorian front, especially after seeing a couple of the other houses in the neighborhood like that. That really helped with that, so I like that possibility. So that's all I got.
Thanks, Daniel. Karen, any comments?
Same as Daniel, exactly.
Okay. And then do we have any comments from Dennis?
Should receive that.
I'm looking for it right now.
You could speak though about your intentions for the house and.
There we go.
Sure. We've owned this house for almost, I don't know exactly, I should have come prepared for that, for about 30 years. And the house is really in a state of disrepair. It really needs a renovation, regardless of the additions. For the past 2 years, I've had my son and his wife and children on one half. They moved down during the COVID. They're gone, it's been empty, and my other son lives in the efficiency side. And my wife and I, she passed away a year and a half ago, had thought of this as being we live in Owen County, as our kind of retirement home. We love the neighborhood. Most of my friends live in the Prospect Hills neighborhood. So the genesis of this project goes back over 2 years, but COVID and then her sickness and death, everything got delayed. I will say that there's still a possibility that I will live on one half here, or we'll rent it. I don't know yet. So I love this neighborhood. It's a big lot and it has a huge backyard, and the new construction really doesn't impinge all that much. It's a kind of a driveway right now on the green space of the backyard, which we hope to have landscaped. There's a fence around there, and we'd like to landscape the front of the place too. I'm hoping you get a chance to see this Victorian porch, because quite honestly, in all due respect to our designers and architects, my contractor and I really prefer the Victorian model because we think it's more in keeping with the nature of the neighborhood. And hopefully...
It landed there. I don't know if it's gonna get there.
We could just
Yeah, just pass it around.
We could just pass it around, exactly.
Well,
He's almost there, right?
I'm almost there. I've just got to send it, and it should be going to Gloria right now. So she can check her email.
The little outside, many years ago. 30
It's
years
just like,
ago.
when it goes around, it's
I've
like
been in this
telephones
house.
change.
See it fixed up.
That would be concerning.
If I got
By the
everything,
time
you
it
should
gets
have
to
it.
That would be very concerning.
I would be glad to get that old siding off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you send?
I
Have
sent
you
it.
peeked under it, Chris?
What's that?
Have you peeked under it at all?
No. I expect I know what I'll find.
I'm just,
Did it make it?
I'm refreshing the page. Oh, here we go.
There we go. Hey, it worked.
Had to go to several satellites to get to there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to, I shall share this very promptly. New share. Just gonna put desktop.
Funny watching that mouse go. When he's not doing anything, but that's
I will say that the massing's really
There we
nice.
go.
Oh, good.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, there we go.
That's a
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
big picture.
yeah, that looks
But
really
turn
good.
columns on the, yeah.
That's my somewhat crude drawing, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so do we have any additional comments from anybody? I know we need to get to the Zoom people, but anybody from our commissioners want to add anything else right now? Okay, perfect. Do we have any people on Zoom that want to make a comment about this project?
Anybody on Zoom would have to use the
Raise the hand.
raise hand feature.
All right, hearing no comments, we would need a motion to approve.
I move to approve the Victorian option of the COA.
And I say,
All right, very good. All right, Dee.
Ernesto Castaneda,
Yes.
Daniel Schlegel,
yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Yes.
Matthew Seddon,
Yes.
John Saunders,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
yes.
motion carried.
Terrific. All right. So let's move on to COA 23-54, 116 West 6th Street on Courthouse Square. And I see our petitioners with us. Very good.
She's online.
Yep.
The petitioner, Layla Taylor, is online. And I'm gonna just. Okay, so of certificate COA 23-54, the petitioner is requesting new sign placement. So staff comments that the two signs, sorry, I'm gonna mute, I'll unmute you in a minute. Staff comments that the two signs, the sticker and the hanging sign, are in keeping with the current signs in the building and do not harm the historic building material. The hanging sign reuses the existing hooks and holes. So staff recommends approval of COA 23-54. So for more context, it would be for this window. And one of the signs would be hanging, not exactly, but more or less where this one is hanging, in that same style. The other one, the Aspen Heights sticker, is a rendering of how it would look like. So one of them is a sticker sign, and the other one would be the gray sign to the right, which would be hanging indoors, but would be very visible from the exterior. And yeah, with that, I release it to the HPC.
Well, thank you. Layla, do you have any additional comments?
The only other thing I noticed in this picture, you've got their that cut white vinyl graphic on the right, and it's pointing to kind of that center window. That window graphic on the right was actually intended for an interior door, and that won't be part of
Okay.
any of the exterior graphic.
What would be hanging, is there anything that, which
Nope.
would be the contour cut acrylic leaf to be hung?
So that is gonna be behind the cut white vinyl where that orange circle is, that has the white text with the blue leaf in the background. The white text would be vinyl on the exterior of the window, and the leaf would be on the interior of the window, just behind the text.
Oh, well, thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, great.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's do questions. Sam?
No questions.
Ernesto?
No questions.
No questions?
No Mr. questions? Matthew, Daniel, Karen?
No,
No. Let's see, Richard, do you have any questions?
Well, anybody who's on that.
Yeah, anybody who's online.
He is.
Okay. Comments, Sam?
I see no issues with this sign.
Okay. Ernesto?
Same.
Fine with me.
All right.
Yes.
Matthew?
Yeah.
Excellent, Karen.
No.
Excellent. Everybody good? Okay, let's do a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve COA, I lost it. The current COA.
54.
Yeah, COA 23-54.
All right, second?
Second.
Thank you. And go ahead, Dee.
Ernesto Castaneda,
Yes.
Daniel Slagle,
Yes.
Sam Gasoller,
Yes.
Matthew Seddon,
Yes.
John Saunders,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leila.
Yes, thank you. So let's
Thank
move.
you, guys.
You're
Thank
welcome. Have a great night. Let's move on to COA 23-56, 511 South Euclid Avenue. The petitioner is with us. Terrific.
The petitioner is online, yes.
Yes.
So the petitioner is requesting two alterations to the detached garage. The project proposes to convert the existing detached garage into an accessory dwelling unit by removing the garage door and adding an additional door and window on the side. There is removal of original material, however, the changes do not really impact the front of, by I mean the front of the building, I mean the front of the property, or the Main Street facing property. So here are some of the, I hope that I pasted the correct Greater Prospect Hill Historic District Construction Subcommittee comments. And again, Richard Lewis, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Most of the proposed garage changes are on the non-public way facade, so I leave those to the HPC to consider. And I don't really understand what is meant by mini split in the west facade. From the sketch, it looks like a window at the ground level. I believe the mini split is an air conditioning unit. On that facade, I would prefer something that is more similar to, in tradition, historic fenestration as far as the height, placement, and proportion. Otherwise, I am supportive of homeowners' efforts to convert the structure. And John Vitello commented, "This is great. Happy to have a simple ADU that may help someone age with family nearby. None of this is street facing. What they are proposing is very reasonable and gets thumbs up from me as an adjacent neighbor. They do share a property line." And so here's more information on the proposal. So the garage door facing south will be removed and a window approximately 2 by 4 feet will be installed. The remaining open space left from the garage door will be framed and sided using the existing wood siding. The window on the west side of the structure will be removed and replaced with siding. The mini split and its exterior item will be placed on the west side of the property adjacent to the former window and below the window. A new front door will be placed on the north side of the property with access to the gate leading to the alley, and wooden cover or an awning about 3 by 3 feet would be placed on the north side of the structure over the front new door. 2 windows will be added to the east side of the structure, approximately 2 by 4 feet each, and a window will be added to the east side of the structure adjacent to the front door. So the materials will remain consistent with the current structure, wood, an effort to use recycled and pre-owned products for sustainability. Current examples of windows and doors do not exist. These will be provided once the site is approved and purchased at Restore can be made. However, the doors and windows will remain consistent with the main home and surrounding neighbors' homes. So basically, the owner wants to use more or less 2x4 windows, but they're also going to restore and see what they can find. And so here's a site plan, a plan for the specific structure with the new door, and so it just indicates the existing door and the new door. And elevation, I put the photo on the side so that it's a little easier to see. So the mini split is actually, the air conditioning unit on the ground, and the existing window on this side would be removed. I think this existing door might also be removed. I have to check.
What goes there if they're removed?
Siding.
Okay, that's facing inside the lot.
This is facing west, I believe. Let me see.
So the alley is here, is that right?
I think so. I think this is, let me ask the owner to unmute, and see, help a little bit to describe. Okay. And,
What was the question?
so we're looking at just a little bit of clarification about the direction facing the facade that would have the mini split, and it has an existing door.
So that faces into the main structure. That's the backyard of the main house.
Okay.
Thank you. And so this would be the other side, which would have 2 windows, and you can see the awning, and the garage door would be closed with a new window and I think an awning as well. Yes.
Terrific. Thank you, Gloria.
Oh, and staff recommends approval of COA 23-56.
All right, thanks so much. Let's do questions. Do you have any other comments for us, Mrs. Jocelyn, before we move to questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. Sam, questions?
Would you go to the garage elevation real quick? The garage door, that one, yeah. So the existing garage door is like this entire opening, and then is there gonna be a window at the top? So would you talk through what, these 3 bands are in terms of, I understand the bottom one's gonna be siding, so I guess I'm actually asking what the top 2 bands are gonna be. And I guess the other question while I'm at it is, are you gonna leave the trim around the garage door in place?
Thank you for the questions. Yes, the garage door will be siding, and then above where the garage door is, because this is an alleyway that does get some traffic, so we're looking to put the window in the top portion, so for privacy purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what those lines are. There is this potential window that may or may not be able to open.
Okay, but I guess what I'm asking is there going to be siding up above the windows as well, or are you the windows just jammed up to the top of that opening? I don't quite understand where the windows start and stop relative to the existing garage door opening. Does that make sense?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. No, there will be siding between the window and the roof line there. So it's going to be just above where the garage door ends there will be the top of the window there. So it'll go into that place where the garage door was.
Okay, so I still am not, I'm sorry. So you're gonna take the garage door out, and then you have this big hole. And then are you gonna enlarge that hole, or are you just gonna put the windows in that hole somewhere?
Yeah, no, I'm not enlarging that hole at all.
And the windows go in the top of the hole? Or there's siding
Right.
at the top of the hole and then windows and then siding? Or is it just windows at the top of the hole and siding below? That's all I'm trying to figure out.
Oh, okay, yeah, windows at the top of the whole siding below, and it will match what's on the other alley, the west, or the east side alley as well. So
Okay.
it'll be at the same,
Okay.
as the one on the, if you look at the drawing on the other side too, it'll match that side.
Gotcha. Thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Ernesto?
No questions.
Elizabeth?
I'll just follow up on something that might have gotten lost with Sam's question, which is the sort of trim framing around the garage door probably will not be visible anymore. There won't be anything like that there, is that correct?
There will be the trim around the windows to be consistent with the main home, like the main structure in the neighbors' homes. But yes, that will change depending on what size of window we can get to place in that spot right there.
Okay, so there'll be trim up around the window, but the trim is
Correct.
currently sort of the side of the garage, that'll be gone. And you'll just have
Correct.
siding. Okay, good. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you for asking.
Daniel?
I guess my only question, I was unsure, I was trying to reread all this because I'd read it earlier in the week and it's slipped away. And Gloria, this could be for you too, so please feel free. Is when it talks about the windows for the new ones or the ones that are going to be replaced, is finding them at Restore, which I'm all for. But if the right kind of window's not there, if we approve this without any more plans, I mean, technically any kind of window could go there, even if it doesn't have a look of similar ones, or how?
Something that you could do is, for the petitioner to return for a staff review for the windows, like just depending on the size.
Or like
Because
making sure they
like-
look.
Hmm?
Okay.
That is one option.
Okay, I was just curious because I just the way some of the stuff's here, I just thought, well, if nothing's found, technically anything could go in, and I was just curious about that.
Thanks, Daniel. Karen?
No question.
Chris?
Yeah, they don't make windows like that. So is that a fixed piece of glass, or what are you thinking there? Because you aren't gonna find a window like that unless, where would we find a window that looks like that? I've never seen one. And so I have several questions, like, if that's for safety or privacy, why not use traditional double hung windows, which for privacy you use blinds, right? Like, I'm just trying to understand, and aren't the other windows on the other side similarly odd and not traditional windows? Like, can we look at that other side and look at those awnings? Like, I'm surprised if she'll be able to find those windows also. And I would suggest using traditional windows and there's some great blinds that are top-down blinds, and you just keep them blocked on the lower and open it up from the top for light. You know, the garage would look better with those kind of windows, and you'll find those kind of windows. So my question is, what are those windows? And do you think you'll be able to find some?
Thanks. I was just trying to keep in the side, the alleyway where the main structure is, has floor-to-ceiling windows that do not open. They're like just big pieces of glass all along the side of the house. And so just in keeping with that same kind of structure for the accessory dwelling unit, that it would also have a large window like that just was a piece of glass essentially. Don't, like you said, probably won't be able to find that at Restore. Probably will have to go with double hung windows. But in keeping with the main structure home, to have a similar glass line as you're driving by, that you would see the same glass across all four windows would be similar.
So they may not open? You might use fixed pane glass for that?
Correct. The ones on the east side would open, and the one on the north side would open, but the one on the south side would likely not open if we can find a piece of glass like that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I have a couple questions here. Have you talked to planning about this? Because I'm concerned about the windows with egress in and out of the bedrooms.
They've got a door though.
If it's a one unit and there's a door, they
Then they
don't
don't
need
have to
egress.
We don't
egress.
have-
There's, yeah, there will be the two doors, the front door, the side door, and then the windows will be the like egress, like human size to exit. So there's plenty of exits, it's just there won't be an exit on the south side.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Richard, any questions from the Zoom? All right, terrific. Let's go to comments. Sam?
No, I appreciate densifying the neighborhood, and I think it's, you know, anybody who can live in a house that's small, more power to them. I couldn't do it, got too much stuff. But I like the idea of doing this. I share some of Chris's concerns about like window proportions and whatnot, but I've looked at, you know, at your house, which at 511 South Euclid, and the you know, the fixed glass you've got along the alley, you know, floor to ceiling stuff. So I see where that's coming from. But if you are willing to consider double hung, I've got a bunch of them, so you don't even have to go to Restore. I'll let you look at them.
Gladly
Right.
accept.
All right, thanks, Sam. Ernesto, any comments?
Yes, I think this is a great little project, you know, always promoting a small living is great. It also provides, I don't know exactly what the purpose of this will be, but in general, ADUs are great. Affordable housing, additional income, different means, so this is a great little project. Good luck.
Thank you, Ernesto. Elizabeth?
Thank you.
Matthew?
I guess I'm a little concerned about approving windows that we don't quite know what they're gonna be, because you're gonna have to look for them and that sort of thing. So that's the only thing that makes me a little uncomfortable. Generally, we would be asking to be shown the materials, and you know, people usually bring in an example. This is the Anderson window we're gonna use or whatever. And so I'm kind of concerned about approving it. Well, it might be this, it might be that, depending on what we're able to find. So I don't know, I'm amenable to the idea of having Gloria, you know, permitting it conditional on Gloria feeling comfortable with the windows, because I trust Gloria. So I'm amenable to that, I guess, is what I would say. I'm not sure I'm amenable to an unconditional approval without seeing the actual, here's what I'm gonna do. I've looked, I've found, and this is what I'm gonna do.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. And Daniel?
I think it's a fantastic project as well, to echo my other commissioners. My only thing is just if everyone's comfortable with it, is I feel similar to Matthew, is with the condition for Gloria to review the windows. And again, I like the idea with Restore, but I also understand, you never know what you're gonna find.
Right.
Could be hit or miss, but.
Sam's got a slew of them.
Yeah, so
Do me a favor.
I'm honestly very comfortable and excited for this one. That's just my only provision that makes me completely on board, is just adding that about the windows.
Thank you very much. Karen?
Yes, I think the provisional approval is the way to go with this, to make all of us more comfortable with it. And I love seeing ADUs. And believe it or not, there are people who like living in a small space and are able to do it, so more power to them, as you say.
Thank you, Karen. Chris?
Yeah, we've done a garage conversion to an ADU, and it worked great. But looking at this view here, I think consider keeping that window. it's more secure and it's on the inside. Why would you blank that out? You know, and that the proportion of the windows aren't horizontal on the house. They're vertical.
I think they were looking at like this.
Yeah.
That's horizontal, that's,
That's
it's
the
not
left one.
horizontal either.
It's like squarish. We
No,
can't
but
really-
those are 6 feet by 1 foot,
Maybe
those
that's
garage
what they meant.
Yeah.
windows. I'm just saying that it would be appropriate to keep double hungs, because those were double hungs before somebody put panes of glass in them. And it's good looking instead of a blank wall from here. So, and you keep something you already have. And you might consider taking that whole garage door out and just redoing that space instead of letting it define. I wish we had some architects here that could give her some advice, but but I think it would be a good idea to revisit this and get a conditional approval. Sorry.
You got it, Chris?
That's all.
All right. You know, I'm in agreement with my fellow commissioners. I think this will be a great project. I like the idea of where she's taking that garage out and if door out, and if she is putting in those horizontal windows across there, it does kind of mimic what she's got going down the side of the alley, and it gives her privacy. You know, I think it's a great project, and I'm very comfortable to allow Gloria to make the decision about the windows. I think she has a good handle on what our group would like to see. So I'm good with that.
May I add to my comment?
We have 2 additions. You and Sam.
Oh, I'm retracting.
You're okay,
I'm-
yours.
I don't think there's any horizontal reference on the main house.
There's not, but the length of those windows. So go back to that garage view, please.
Yeah, those are double hung windows that got
Yeah, yeah.
replaced by a
The
pane of
garage
glass.
itself, her drawing of the garage.
Oh, give me 1 second. Here?
Yeah, one more.
Up or down?
That one.
Okay.
Where she has a new window proposal, I mean, obviously, it kind of looks like a double hung, but she could do panes of glass, fixed panes of glass horizontally across the top there, which would pick up what's on the side of her house.
No, those are vertical.
I think you're saying, yeah, the directionality is different.
If you
and
turn
you're
your
saying
head
the proportions
sideways.
are the same,
Yes.
but agreeing the directionality is different.
Right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So he's saying it's different, you're saying it's the same, but, yeah.
This and this.
Yeah.
Those are
Right.
different.
And he's
They are,
saying they're
but I'm
both
talking,
vertical.
I'm talking
That's
about the
horizontal.
dimension of it, the width.
It's not compatible with the traditional form of the
Oh, I
neighborhood.
agree, it's not compatible in that aspect, but neither are the windows in the side of the house.
No, they are compatible in their very form. They're
Yes,
just,
exactly.
they just have a glass pane instead of two panels in them.
True.
But they were double hung windows, so I think I'd mimic with double hungs and fit into the neighborhood better than those horizontal windows that just don't have any reference. Anyway, that's my comment, I'm sorry.
Thank you, my comment
I'm an
too.
advisor, I'm just advising.
That's all right, we appreciate that you're sharing your information. You've been around for quite a few years and done a lot of stuff, and I appreciate that. Any other comments? Okay. So we need a motion to approve, subject to Gloria being able to review the windows that are being installed. Is that? I don't hear a second.
I'll second that.
Okay. And then Dave, would you give us a roll call?
Ernesto Castaneda,
Yes.
Daniel Schlegel,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Yes.
Matthew Seddon,
Yes.
John Saunders,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Great, thank you.
You.
All right, and
I'll
be,
be in
Look at
touch,
windows.
Sam.
yeah,
Yeah.
and be in touch with Sam, be in touch with Gloria. Okay.
Amy, I'm gonna contact you tomorrow about getting the either tomorrow or Monday to get you the COA and to talk about like future window use and get you in contact with Sam the Solar to see if you can look at some more windows.
Terrific. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you all so much, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
all the
Thanks,
comments.
have a great
All right.
evening.
So let's move on to COA 23-58, 401 North Oak Street. And our petitioner is with us. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Gloria?
So, the petitioner for 405 North Oak Street in the near West Side Historic District is requesting a new addition to her house. The addition, staff finds that the addition is compatible in size and scale with the original building. It differentiates enough with the use of materials to not confuse onlookers. This building, so there's something about this building that bugs me. It's a shard situation where it's considered non-contributing. However, staff has reason to believe that it should be classified as contributing ranch-style house, as its tax record indicate that the building was originally built in 1958 instead of 2012 as is recorded in shard. Even shard says it's a really good example of a ranch house. So, that part is a little baffling. That being said, the Near West Side Construction Subcommittee, I'm pleased to report that the committee found no issues of concern and expressed no objections to her plans, our newest commissioner stated before joining us. So here are some photos of the sites. So this is where the back, where the addition would be located. So the foundation would be split face block or exposed with a 4-inch concrete slab. Sorry. We see the windows, dark brown Pella lifestyle. The siding would be LP Smart siding, horizontal 7-inch lap siding with trim. So the house would be have siding even though the existing house is has a stone veneer, and the extension would be towards the back and would continue the roof line. So here's the floor plan of the structure, and here are the elevations. And with that I leave it to the HPC.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, do you have any more additional comments for us?
No, not really, just that I'm grateful to be at this place in the process. I would like to add maybe Bloomington Restoration Incorporated did approve it as well in a first round before my neighborhood historic preservation group did, so I just thought I'd note that as well.
Great, thank you so much. Sam?
Thank you.
Do we have questions?
I guess the only question I have is the shed, the new shed, or is that part of the, it's already there?
That's already there at this
Okay.
point.
Got no questions, thank you.
Ernesto?
No questions at this point.
All right, Elizabeth?
No question.
Matthews? Daniel? Karen? No?
No,
Nope. Everybody saving up for comments? Great. I have no questions. Let's see, anybody in our audience? Nope. All right.
If anybody online has any questions, you can use the raise hand feature.
All right. So let's move on to comments. Sam?
I think it's a lovely little addition. It really works with the house. It differentiates itself. The openings work. I think you've done a great job.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Ernesto?
Yeah, I agree. It's a nice addition. The separation of materials. It just plays along really well with how horizontal the house is. And you will never know that there's a new bathroom there too. So that's really nice. Yeah.
Thank you. Elizabeth? Matthew?
I think I might have some comments from the people at Shard. Having raked over the coals when I was a consultant for similar, simple, I think that was probably a typo. But I also think this is a neat looking house and a lovely compatible addition and,
Who did the
I like
design? He doesn't
Great.
say.
Daniel,
No comments, looks good.
Karen?
Well, first of all, just to be clear, I do sit on my neighborhood design review committee. So full disclosure, and we liked it very much, and I like it very much. This is a house that was moved to its current location by BRI from another neighborhood. And instead, you know, it was someone who was willing to just give it to BRI if BRI paid the expense of moving it.
Oh, yeah.
So that the house wouldn't have, otherwise would have been just destroyed, right? By somebody who wanted to build something on that previous site. And I'm guessing, even though it seems longer ago to me than that, but that it was moved to its current location in 2012. Maybe that's where that came from.
That would make sense.
Right, Karen, yeah.
Okay. I
Yes.
remember seeing it, but it just feels longer ago than that. It goes right down in front of my house, down the street, on the truck. And so I think that Shard said it's not contributing, the person who did the survey, because because it's not one of the working class gable-elled houses in the neighborhood is really consists traditionally of those forms, and this was brought in kind of in a quiet corner where there was some mixed housing types, and it was this did occur before the neighborhood was either a conservation or a historic district. So I think that's how that happened.
I'll ask them.
Sure. Well, thank you for that background information that we were all missing. Chris?
Yeah, there are a number of houses that BRI has moved over the years as part of their affordable housing program, and this is one of the little gems, and they found such a great location for it. It's a beautiful little house. It's not like any of the other houses in the neighborhood, but it was just such a good program and such a good save, and so nice to put it there. So I don't have any comments except I think the addition's great.
Oh, I do too.
But I wanted to plug the BRI Affordable Housing Program because it's done some really cool things.
Yeah, it is.
Softly and quietly and contributing to our neighborhoods.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm very grateful.
No, I like this
I agree.
project, and I really like the placement of the windows on the addition, which are screens, but I like how it fits in with the style of the house and everything that's going along with it. It's a nice project. Do we have any comments from our people out in our gallery? All right, thank you. So we need a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Dee, will you do the roll call?
Ernesto Castaneda,
Yes.
Daniel Schlegel,
Yes.
Sam Fitzaler,
Yes.
Matthew Seddon,
Yes.
John Saunders,
Yeah.
Elizabeth Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. A great project. I'm looking forward to see it when
Thank
we get
you
all
all for
done.
your service, appreciate it.
Yeah, you're
Thank you,
welcome.
Lisa Marie. I'll be in contact with you in the next few days.
Yes.
Have a great
I
evening.
appreciate it, Gloria, thank you, bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
So let's move on to our final one
Yes.
of the evening, which is a little unusual. We need to spend at least 45 minutes on this one. Sorry about that.
Allowed to throw.
I am.
Uh-oh.
So, let's move on to COA 23-61, 712 West 3rd Street, and I believe our petitioners are with us. So Gloria?
Yes, so 712 West 3rd Street, the petitioners are requesting for a new construction. I think this is going to have a number convention. I don't know, maybe I'll bug planning in a second, or maybe not. But so far, yeah, 712 West 3rd Street. The project is a primary structure on a site that is a combination of like a developed and an isolated lot. The new structure faces the alley rather than the main road. And the proposal in general is to scale with material, fenestration placement, and setback similar to the neighboring structures. So staff recommends approval of COA 23-61. Let me see. Okay, now I have the right comment. And I do believe that Richard is still here, so he can add additional information if necessary. So Richard, whenever you want to raise your hand, I'll unmute you. So this is an interesting project that is in the entire proposed house is not on the public way facade. According to the definitions of the Greater Prospect Hill Historic District guidelines. There is a similar setting with the neighboring house, contiguous northern parcel that also faces the alley, so this house would not be alone in that alley-facing regard. In general, the design seems to be a pleasing vernacular style that incorporates elements from the period of nearby houses and makes smart use of the available lot size. I am supportive of this project. John Vitello also commented, I love this project. It is well designed by an architect who understands this district. Happy to see some of these vacant lots being used for housing. And so here's some information on the materials. So hardy fiber lap siding and boral exterior trim. For the trim, columns, beam, and additional information on the floors, foundation, standing seam metal roof. Let me see, and some additional information for the interior. And the landscaping. So there is some landscaping that has to be done as this lot. So the lot in orange that's all a very, very long lot across up until West 3rd Street. And so the new house would be on the orange half of the lot. And as you can see, there's a pool right smack in the middle. So I think that the owner and the petitioners can speak a little bit more about potential future for that landscaping, those landscaping changes. Here are some contextual photos. The back of the existing structure towards 3rd Street, and then the yard and the pool. Sorry. And here are some the 4 elevations for the proposed house. And some elevations and some sections as well, with the roofing material, the windows, and other details. So the siding would be done in different exposures to give it different contrast. Here are some the different floor plans. We don't really go very off, we don't really touch the interior of buildings, but it's nice to see how the outline of the building changes depending on the height as well. And here are the main and second floor plans. I know the drawings are a bit small, and we can come back to these if you want to. So this is the full lot with the existing house and then the new building.
All right, terrific.
And here's let me. Okay, take this out of the way. And so here you can see the elevation, the 2 long longitudinal elevations with site sections where you can see the height difference between the 2 buildings on this one long former property. And so I think I already said that staff does support this project.
They have to get a variance though.
Okay.
We do have to get a backyard variance for the setback in the backyard because of the narrowness. The lot is only 40 feet deep. And obviously the backyard setback is 25 feet. We're at 10 feet with a 20-foot wide house and another 10-foot setback on the front. similar to the process. We've met with planning, Eric, and we're beginning that process, but we will get a variance for the rear yard setback. That was the only thing that planning had an issue with. So,
Anything else, Dennis?
if you have any questions, this was kind of, obviously, kind of a unique situation with the existing house and the yard area in back. I think at one point in time, it's correct that it kind of been integrated as a singular lot, and the property line was reestablished or re-recognized. So they are two independent properties, but it has one owner. And it was segregated with the intent, obviously, to be able to do a kind of standalone, single-family, small residence on the other remnant lot or newly established lot to the north. So,
Well, it's not newly established, the lot goes back.
it goes back.
Many years, that lot.
But as you look at it, it looks like a singular lot, which is not
Right, when you
really
look
the
at that,
case.
it just looks like this long
Yes.
skinny.
And there's some issues with, obviously, the pool and things on the site right now, which are kind of commingled between the two lots that will need to be adjusted over time and things like that. But it is its own standalone lot and property, so.
All right, thanks, Dennis. Sam, questions?
Claire, would you go back to the site plan for a minute?
Of course. Let me see. The long, thin.
Yeah, that guy. So that's 6 feet, and then the house on the adjacent property there is how far away from its property line? And how high?
It's a single-story residence,
Yeah.
ranch style, probably done, my guess is maybe 50s to 60s.
Yeah.
It's an older home, but it's a single-story ranch home.
It's a yellow one?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
All right.
And I believe it should be more than the 6 feet, I believe. I'm trying to recall, I can't recall at that point of pictures and looking at it, but obviously it's not on that site. But
Gotcha. Has that neighbor chimed in on this proposal?
No, at this moment, I think that the main requirement is for the Greater Prospect Hill, subcommittee to comment. Although we always welcome any and all neighbors who.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that's all my questions. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sam. Ernesto?
I have no questions at this time.
Elizabeth?
No questions?
Okay.
I don't have any
Matthew?
questions either.
Daniel? Karen? All right, Chris.
I will be estimating on this job, proposing to work on it, but it isn't my job yet. Just wanted to be clear about that.
I don't have any questions. I think you pretty much answered them at this point. So let's move on. Richard, do you have any questions?
Wait, let me see if I can.
He's still here.
Yeah, let me just, hold up. I'm just gonna make Richard a co-host because he's been on this ride all from the beginning to the end.
Richard, any questions?
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I think Mike already read my comments. I'm supportive of this. There were enough elements of period style. And again, strictly speaking for our design review committee, since none of this faces a public way facade, we don't have an official role in this, but, individually, it's similar to an ADU, except that it will be on a separate parcel, and I've been supportive of ADUs in our neighborhood for quite a long time. So it sort of meshes into that idea of using extended backyard space where available. And I think, the design is very pleasing, personally speaking. So that's it for me.
All
Thanks.
right, thank you very much. We'll do the comments. Sam?
Comments, I really like this project. I think that the densification of an interior lot, I'm all for that. The only thing I'm slightly concerned about is that this house is to the south of a single-story house directly to the north, and it's a 2-story. So it's gonna be shadowing that out a bit.
Technically, it's not. It's a story and a half, basically. Or
This one, so-
It's caught within the roof volume.
the
I'm sorry.
second floor volumes are.
Sorry, I'm trying to, sorry.
It's a little,
Like,
it's a little deceptive, but.
Right, so, okay, so let's talk about that then.
Okay, all right.
If you would go to that big long elevation, which I think was fantastic. And that's the other comment is I really want to applaud the petitioner on the number of drawings, the level of drawings. There's a lot of information here, and I'm grateful for that. That to me reads as a 2-story house. You can call it a 1.5-story house. You know, it's in the roof line, whatever. It's got the mass and the bulk of a 2-story house. And so, what is this height from here to here? Ish.
Oh, you're probably 22 feet, 24
Yeah.
feet.
So
maybe.
it's going to be
To the peak of the
7 or
roof,
8 feet higher
to
than
the
the
peak of
house
the roof.
to the north. Which is going to be 10 feet away. So they're gonna, you know, they're gonna be in a little more shady situation. So that was my only concern there.
Thank you, Sam. Ernesto.
Yes, I think this is a very lovely project. It's full of details. I'm all for high density, especially with this project. I like how they broke up the massing along the long axis by breaking up in the middle piece. I'm not that concerned about having one different heights between the two. I think they can coexist. It's just so much detailing. It's great. I'm all for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ernesto. Elizabeth?
I'm definitely all for it. If you're taking a vacant lot and putting a house on it, when we have a house shortage, I'm 100% for that.
Thank you. And Matthew?
Yeah, I'll second what Sam was saying about appreciating the level of detail. Makes it easy. Really nice set of views, all the views we would need to make the decision, all the details on it. And I agree that, yeah, it's, in a way, it's above and beyond. It's off the main thing. I mean, you're coming to us. I just appreciate the care and concern that's been done and that we're given lots of information. And I think it's totally compatible and all the other things that have been said. And I'm kind of jealous. I think it's cute.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. And Daniel?
I just want to reiterate what Liz said, is taking that more or less vacant lot in the back and adding a nice, really nice house and all the details. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. Thanks, Daniel. And Karen?
Yeah, it looks like a wonderful addition to the neighborhood contributor.
Okay, Chris?
No comment.
Why not? Oh, no, I have to go with the rest of our group here. I think this is a fine project, and utilizing interior lot is even better. So I would support this. Any other comments from you guys over there?
I just want to say thank you very much. This is, I love working on this project. I love discovering there was a lot there when I bought this property. And I just, at first I was thinking it would only be an ADU, but then when I found out that it actually is a free standalone lot. My one regret is that we have to lose the pool, because I actually had this idea that we could do maybe like a recreational easement between the two properties.
We're a jump of the way though.
And they could share the pool. And we got like, no, the property line basically goes right through the edge of the pool, the end of the pool, so.
It's gonna drain out.
Exactly. You want like part of the pool, but it's because of the way the lot goes, the house gets set further down, so it's perfect for the siding for that. And the house that's behind it, the yellow house, I don't know those people. I never see anyone, so I would love to talk to them, but it's mostly their driveway and garage that it might be the edge of this new house that will be over but you're right, it is, it has the two-story feel to it, but I think if you saw that yellow house, it's like really, it's kind of set back more, so. Anyway, I'm very grateful that you see the care that we put into it, because we did, and these guys are great.
Is an easement for the pool unavailable?
Well, it's a liner pool, so
Okay.
if you wanted to, that's you.
Yeah.
You could readapt the pool and reconfigure it by taking that section off and keep
Okay.
the primary volume there, but it would take, I think I figured it, you lose about a third of the pool. You still have
yeah, okay.
2/3 of it, so.
Okay.
And it becomes
It's actually
more, it becomes more of a lap pool
It's
and
really a
whatever.
big pool, actually.
But it's an issue.
It's better to just start again, do something else.
Okay.
I don't know any
With the
place-
landscaping, is
Yeah.
my opinion.
It's the only pool in the neighborhood.
That's what I was
It certainly is.
They got a pool.
Yeah, it's the only one in the neighborhood. All right, thank you. So I need a motion to approve
There's a picture of the yellow
COA
house, yes.
2361.
I'll make a motion to approve COA 2361.
Thank you, Daniel. All right, Dee, do the roll call.
Ernesto Castaneda,
Yes.
Daniel Schlegel,
Yes.
Sam Fowler,
Yes.
Matthew Seddon,
Yes.
John Saunders,
Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Great. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Dennis, for being with us this evening. The other person. So, we don't have any new business. We don't have any old business right now. Do we have any commissioner comments? Sam?
I still want to hear about fines.
Yeah,
They're here.
they're still there. Colleen, told me that, or my legal representative, that, everything's just taking a little slower because of all of the many adjustments and issues that are happening, both, in the office and.
Okay, if me like whacking people would be helpful, let me know.
Whack 'em all.
That could be very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I do
I
have.
haven't forgotten.
No, I know you haven't. I remind her too.
Ooh, getting it from.
She gets it from all directions.
I have comments, but you're making comments.
I do have a comment that I want to make, and I think that at our next meeting, I want to try to address it, which is allowing our members to relook at what we did, now allowing our members to vote if they're on Zoom, to change that back to allow them to vote so that they're more participatory in our process. Because I think that some of the members won't come in on Zoom because they're not going to be able to vote or do anything, which is probably what we're thinking about when we started this, was to make sure we had a quorum for our meetings. And that's not panning out the way we wanted it to be. So at our next meeting, I would like for us to look at that and see if we are going to revert back to how our situation was prior to that change. That's all I have. And
John,
Chris,
can I ask a quick question? Sorry
Sure.
to interrupt. Does that mean, would you like staff to prepare a modification to the HPCs? I'm gonna call them rules, I'm so sorry, you don't call them rules.
Bylaws?
Bylaws, the document that guides parliamentary procedure at this commission's meetings, so that's available for formal consideration?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, sorry to interrupt.
And Chris, you had some comments?
Yeah, I do have a couple comments, and really I want to bring you up to date on a couple issues. One of them is the Hawthorne Greenway. And I don't know if you're following that at all. You know, the people that aren't fans of the new greenway, and there's an existing greenway, but it's going to be upgraded and there are going to be traffic calming devices. And then the weirdest part, there's, on the plans, it shows sort of like someone drew a little line down the road. And we asked, is that going to be part of the plan? And it actually is. It's green paint in a random squiggle that goes down the center of the road, all the way through Hawthorne, all the way through the Elm Heights Historic District. And I'll tell you, I spared you by bringing in a whole crowd of people who aren't supportive of this greenway. But because they've been talking and finding out from Gloria that we really don't have authority over what happens in the road, even in a historic district. But they're gonna have a meeting on the 14th, and by they, I mean the Bike and Pedestrian Commission, which, because of a vote of council, has ultimate authority of what happens there. Council isn't going to get to have an approval. Public doesn't get an approval at council. Bike and Ped gets the final decision. And they are excited about this kind of monster green squiggly line that goes a quarter of a mile to a half a mile on Hawthorne. And I personally don't think it's appropriate in a historic district. We don't have authority to say to stop it, but we may have authority to make a comment or express ourselves that that's kind of like a, come on, man, you know, I see what else you're doing here, that's understandable, but the squiggly line is a little over. To make it, it's a whimsical line so that you enjoy your transportation and it shows you where the bike boulevard is. So, but it's just somebody drew it on a map and thought it was cool, and somebody must have done it in California, and let's do it here. So anyway, let's bring you up to date. I was going to propose a resolution and such, but it really is outside of our prerogative. And I knew you would hear Gloria say that, and then you'd go, Chris, you're off base, you know. But I have to tell you that that's happening. And then the other thing that's happening is the Lower Cascades blockage of the road. And what's interesting about Lower Cascades, it's already being considered as on the National Register. So all the road itself is a historic road. Right. And closing it off, and also that's a historic ford of the creek. It may be one of the last in the county. Mm-hmm. And the current plans are to demolish it.
What?
I believe they're gonna break it up and put large boulders so that it helps the creek flow or something, but it's already blocked off, so you can't drive across it. And even though there are, you know, they've made it easier to walk back to the falls, you can no longer drive across that and park right by the accessible walk to the falls, so you got about a quarter-mile walk to get to the falls before you can walk on the accessible walkway. So it is within our prerogative to make this a local historic district. We can request it, it would go to council, and it would just be a check on what's happening to that end. Mm-hmm. You know, and there's also a possible, because of the transportation plan, there's one of the options is to make a separated bike path, and we don't know how much of the park that's gonna eat up. It's gonna have a bridge going over the creek on that southern half of Lower Cascades. So it's gonna have an impact on this historic park. And they're driven by the directives of the plan, and I'm not sure how much council will have an input on this, but we could be another voice of the community saying, this is the first park, we need to protect this park, and it's legitimately a historic park. There's no question about that. And all the homework's been done for the National Register, so we would need a proposal from our commission to consider this at a future meeting, and we would just start talking about it and deciding whether it needs to be protected. And I strongly suggest that it does.
I would love to.
I totally agree.
Do we have time on the next
Yeah.
agenda? The next meeting,
Yeah,
put
can
that
we-
on the agenda?
Yeah, would you do that, Gloria?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
As we don't have enough work for her yet, we're sorry.
Luckily, they did all the research, right?
They did, yes, they did a vast amount of research. If anybody wants to, like, if we want to do a presentation, for the next meeting, if anybody wants to volunteer and help me out for an hour and to help compile and sort of format it into a staff report, I would really appreciate it, but that would be voluntary. It's just, you know, just to help
I'll
out.
volunteer you, Chris.
I'm not much use at that, but if you need me, I will help.
Okay, yeah, it would just be a matter of like scheduling out the lemon room for an hour with all the paperwork and seeing like what parts of the National Register nomination can be reworked into a staff report, and then I'll go from there.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect, call on me.
Awesome, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Chris.
Just a couple of comments. Chris, on the, just so everybody heard, the meeting of the Bike and Pet Commission is gonna be on Monday, August 14th at 5:30. I
Okay,
think
thank you
that's
for
when
that.
We're gonna consider it right here. That can always be changed, but just in case that was.
Did you say 4:30?
Did I say 4:30? 5:30 is what is
5:30.
the correct answer, regardless of what I said.
Thank
watches
you.
The Weakest Link.
What's that?
Said he watches The Weakest Link. All right. Do we have any public comments? Oh, I think they deserted us. Anybody online have any comments? All right, hearing none, we're adjourned.